everybody, welcome to the channel. I'm Cindy Daychuk with Queen Bee Creations, and we are going to do another little watercolor exercise. And you know what? I'm not bored yet, so sorry if you are of these, but this is a great exercise if you were like me and just beginning in this medium, because it teaches us about layering of color, building washes, and developing depth perception in the painting. What's also very cool about it is it's very easy and it looks awesome when it's done. So you end up literally with a painting that looks like you knew what the hell you were doing to begin with. So I'm excited to jump in and give this a try. I'm gonna move you overhead so you can kind of see what I'm doing here. And I think you're gonna love this one, guys. So if you have been watching some of the watercolor ones and you haven't jumped in on this, really, I'm using dollar store paper. Granted, I got a set of watercolors for Christmas, but up until then, I was just using really inexpensive set that I think I got from Michael's for like $22, $24, something like that. And I still have that. So I'm still using that. Never a waste. But there's so much that we can learn from this medium, and I'm just having a lot of fun. And so let's do this. We're doing kind of a mountain scene. Hang in there. You can do this with me. Okay, we are also not going to be using a lot of colors on this, but we do have a number of steps, and we're going to be drying in between. And you can just leave it to dry, or you can make it dry by getting out a heat gun and drying it. I'm just going to leave it to dry and go off and do other things while it's doing its thing. So, clear water. We're going to be doing the background first, and we're going to create a bit of a gradient. I don't need so much color down here, so it's not very wet down there. It's a little wetter up at the top, but there we go. First thing that we're doing is I am just going to take let me think, just a blue, like a blue gray, and I'm just going to put some of that color on, okay? And then rinsing my brush, and I'm gonna get a bit of a yellow, and I'm gonna add a bit of that in, and what else? Maybe I'll add in just a little bit of an orange. Okay? And then I'm going to take my fat brush again, and I am just going to, with a little bit of water, just carry this up. Okay? And just by choice. I mean, if you love how that looks, then you're done. I just want to add a little bit of more blue in the top, and just pull it up a little bit here, and I'm good with this. I'm going to leave this to dry now. I'm just going to clean off my brushes, get some clean water, let this dry, and then we'll be back for the next step. So easy so far. It is important that you make sure that your layer is dry. With watercolors, if this is still wet, as you add another color, it's going to bleed into it. And we want to have distinct layers. Now, here's the fun part. We are going to create a wash, which simply means that we're going to pick a color. So I'm going to take indigo blue, and I'm going to just add it to my little dish, because I'm going to keep building on this. This is still too pigmented, meaning still too strong. So I am continuing to add more water to it to thin it out. Okay? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start on our mountains. Here's my sky, the yellowy, well, my orange kind of faded, so always recognize that your watercolors dry lighter. But I'm going to take the side of my brush, and I am just going to start by building, and it's not necessarily mountains, it can be hills, but I'm just going to add this color down all the way down my page. Okay, and you can see it's going to look slightly different here because we're seeing the yellow peek through. That's okay. That's perfect. So we're just going to now let that dry. Don't throw this wash away. We're still using it, okay? So we want this to dry. We're gonna leave this here because we're going to use it for our next layer, and we're gonna keep building on this. Now that this layer is dry, we are going to strengthen this wash by adding, let me just make sure I've got the right color here. Okay, by adding a little bit more. So I'm going into exactly the same color, and I'm gonna add a little bit more of that color to it. So I'm doing my next layer, just a little bit darker. And then we're gonna let that dry. So easy. Okay, you're probably getting the rhythm of this. The next layer, we do exactly the same thing. We still have our original wash. We're just adding in more depth of color to this, increasing its intensity. And really, you do this as many times as you want based on the size of your paper, how close you've made this, how far up your page you went, and you know, it just is what it is. Now, I think I'm gonna do one more row, so I'll come back and then I'll show you some other options with it. So I'm gonna do one more, and we'll see how that goes. This is my last layer, so again, I'm gonna add a little bit more depth to this. Gonna add a little bit more of my watercolor. And I think what I'm going to do is take also a little bit of dark green and add that tone to this last layer. And again, now, if you are looking at adding, I mean, you could be done, right? This could be your painting. We let it dry and then we're good to go. Or if you wanted to add some trees, you could take, you know, like a really thin brush, and you could use this last color. It's gonna merge with this hill and you can add your branches. I'm gonna try to add a little bit of a, maybe I need a stem first. Just adding a little bit of a fir tree. Okay, I've never done this. Okay, that's a pretty stiff little brush. That is not the best fir tree in the world, and I shouldn't have taken it down so low. But you know what? If you don't do it, you won't learn it. Wonder if I had a little straight brush. And these are a little bit harsh, so I'm just going to pick up a little bit of that paint from there. Okay, now it's not looking quite as bad. And maybe just one more over here. And I'm still not liking, I still haven't, I have to discover my favorite tree making brush. I have not done that yet. I don't like either of those guys. I need a very thin brush. None of these are very thin. Okay, maybe I just need small and go at it slowly. Okay, I'm thinking I'm more of a small brush person than a big brush. This can just be a different kind of tree. I'm okay with that. Okay, and we let this dry and then we're done. I may have to do more. Okay, I'm just trying to even these out a little bit. And then I'll be done this one. This was a fun little exercise. You can see by layering those color washes over top of each other how you started to build that depth. You got that foreground and background. This was the little one. It's still a little damp that we did together. In order to be able to make this wackadoodle one look better, I kind of made it into two trees. And I think it kind of suited it better. I did do one off to the side with the same washes, but I tried to do a more dramatic sky and wanted to leave it with no trees in it so that you could see what leaving it on its own looked like. They almost look like they continue together because they're in the same tone families, right? Like you could do a little duo painting. This one I did as well, but I added more green into the base of this one and then tried just doing a stark tree. But okay, they're a little addictive. They're kind of fun and they kind of work together. So give it a go. You can do the same thing with, you know, layering any color. Like this could be in shades of a purple or of a pink or of a red. I mean, you're just building up those gradations. You know, for Valentine's Day, you could do exactly the same thing, starting at the top with like the paler red version of the red, then the darker, and get darker and darker, and then cut out heart shapes and use those on cards. It's just about building up the color and creating that depth. You can see how you create that foreground and that background, and you get that sense of the distance. That's important when it comes to creating a painting that has some depth and doesn't look totally flat. This is the secret. I hope that you give this a try. I hope that you learn something in watching it, and take that to your paintings. Even if this is the only painting that you do, they look pretty darn cool, you guys. And they look like I am way better than I am. That never hurts. Look forward to seeing you on the next one. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for hanging in there on this watercolor journey with me. I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Until then, take care.